So one of the objectives of archaeology is to share what we've learned about the past with the public. And Grand Valley's had a long tradition of doing that kind of work, starting with my predecessor, Richard Flanders, who worked at this site of Blendon Landing, which is located just a couple miles south of where we are standing right now. Blendon is a really well-preserved archaeological site with remnants of both logging operation, 2 sawmills, and a boat building and refurbishing operation on the Grand River, and then the remains of the community of people, laborers, and other folks who worked in the village after the mill shut down. Doc Flanders worked on the site in the 1960s through the 1980s, inviting members of the public, school kids, community service groups, all kinds of other people who wanted to have an experience doing archaeology to come and work at this site. The thing that's important about Blendon, among other things, is that people were invited to get involved in the process of archaeology. One of many different opportunities that the university has given to people over the last 50 years. When I first got here in 1990, this was not as vegetated as it looks today. The bank was exposed and you could actually see human remains eroding out of the bank. One of the first problems I knew I had to address as the new archaeologist at Grand Valley was what to do with the human remains that had been eroded, especially during the spring when the floodwaters of the Grand and the ice came up. It would dig into the side of this bank that we're standing on and expose additional new remains. What we were able to do was establish a relationship with the Little River Band of Ottawa and make sure that the remains were repatriated to them, and then worked with the state of Michigan, the DNR, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Little River Band of Ottawa to create a barrier and a vegetation plan. And as you can see by the vegetation that's behind us here, that erosion has stopped. We have solved that problem so that the remains of those individuals are resting in place and in peace today. And so community engagement, community involvement is a real important part of what we do, and it allows us to build relationships with lots of different members of the community, including Native Americans, who are our most important partners.